tell me if this is correct. If I am a reasonably competent lawyer, see, I understand that I have to up my game and be good. I have to market myself. I have to hustle, and provided I do all of this, could I, if I'm good at it, could I expect to earn 40,000-50,000 a month, which is I think kind of
I think
and I think it's also very important, and this is something that she emphasizes a lot on, is the people you work with. I mean, you are independent in everything.
I'll give you, sorry to cut her, I'll give you an example. Like, for example, I know this one young lawyer who was working with a senior, and one client comes, asks that senior to give a legal opinion. Now, for that legal opinion, that senior took 10 lakhs rupees, which was drafted and studied by that person, the junior. And the person, senior, took 10 lakhs rupees for that, and the one who actually did the hard work got very minimal. Something like that. So sometimes in this profession, it's not a very fair thing. It could be that things are unfair because, ultimately a person who's working hard, they are like, I am the one who's working hard and someone else is taking the credit. So these kind of situations do happen. Okay, but that's a learning process. We can't help it. It's nothing in our control. That's the person that is why it is very important to know the people who are you dealing with. The people who are you working with, they shouldn't exploit you.
Right.
That is one thing also.
She's absolutely right about this, because there are so many people. I mean, I know personally people who graduated with me a few years senior. Few of them are working with very reputed persons for 20,000-25,000 a month, and they're working about 12-15 hours a day. And
but I think that is more of a norm, right? It is more of a norm that you get paid 20,000-25,000 and you work.
I think that's a little exploitative, because most of these people.
But that is the norm. Like, that is what is
But the norm is made by us, right?
Sure.
It's people can change it. I mean, I can tell you personally, again, we are reiterating Mr. Tulsi's name because he paid us really well.
Right.
He provided us food.
But that's very exceptional, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. He even paid for our fuel.
Paid for our fuel. He also,
I mean, when it makes you, it's a conducive and comfortable environment to work in. So that when you're sitting and you're going to work, there are few things that you don't have to worry about. And you just have to focus on being productive. On the other hand, this norm that the young lawyers have to be underpaid, it's something that we've created, I think, because we are all very well aware of the fact that a few of the designated and very reputed advocates and solicitors, they are paid handsomely per appearance, for every opinion, for every conference, for every time they settle a draft. And I don't think it would really hurt if the juniors are paid a little more comfortably. Because
it won't, but it's very interesting that there are many very reputed advocates who are charging in many crores, do not actually pay anything to their juniors.
Exactly, that's what exactly you were saying.
So besides that, if you can tell a little about the experience of going anyway, like people when they are they're hoping to learn something, and the argument from the advocate side is that the juniors who are joining them have to be taught, they know nothing, they contribute very little, and when they start contributing, we will pay them accordingly. So this has been the argument usually. So any thoughts on that?
But I think that's called an internship.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how juniors.
It's you have 3 years or 5 years as per your course to go out and work for free as much as.
What is your experience on the people who are joining from college to the profession, on their ability to contribute?
I think some people I have come across with are brilliant and they are exceptional even while they are just interns and they are just in law school.
Sure.
And you can't generalize that every person who has a degree knows how to practice law, and there is no guarantee that even 5 years in the profession and you will be able to even deliver one argument in court. That is entirely your ability. So if the argument is, and I'm coming to that, if the argument is that they have to be taught everything from scratch, then don't hire these people. Let them go to like a smaller place to learn whether at least they can earn something to break even. Because in today's date, and especially Delhi is an expensive place to live in. And it costs a lot of money to even come to office and go back home.
Commuting.
And a lot of interns who come to us, especially the females, who are traveling by public transportation, and their first and their only fear is that, I hope we are left by 5:30 because then it's unsafe for us to go back, and not everybody can afford to have a car in the city. Yes. Not everybody can even afford to take a cab because even that is very, very expensive in today's date. So I think that much dignity should be given to this profession as well.
True. Interestingly, the flip side of this we see is that a lot of people are looking to hire and not finding good juniors, or even law firms not finding people to hire, and everybody says we don't want to hire freshers because we are not, like, we at least want somebody who's trained and we're ready to pay more if we find the right people.
So I think maybe in that case the curriculum in law schools needs to be tweaked a bit. I think a little more practical exposure will do everybody good.
They should have more practical experience, because what we learn theoretically and what we are doing,
it completely, you yourself would know this. They're two completely different ballgames.
This is what we do.
Yeah, so over here, sitting and reading a bare act and rote memorizing it and going and writing cases about it in a question, in an answer sheet is completely different from actually making a draft to even figure out where the jurisdiction is under what you have to file it, where you have to file it, how to file it. There are millions.
So more or less, you agree that when people who are graduating if they have some their own initiative to learn, that's a different thing. Otherwise, they are not well prepared to deal with litigation in your experience.
A lot of them are.
Well, practically, see, even like when you start, even when I started practically, theoretical knowledge we had, but when we come to the courts, it's altogether a different practical situation.
But isn't that a situation where only few people survive? Like, you have to be really intelligent and smart. Like,
that's nothing like that.
Nothing like that. You have to be street smart.
You have to, you have to see any.
But it makes it harder for the graduate.
Well, that's what we were talking the other day. There is no guarantee that a topper will sustain a 50% wound. Yeah. There is no guarantee.
The skill required is different.
The person who will stick in there the maximum will manage to sustain.
You have to adapt.
You have to adapt to the situation, to the hardships. And if you've already assumed that this is how it's going to be, I have done this and I deserve this, no. You have to learn each and everything what comes in your way.
I'll actually talk from my personal experience also in this. In my 3 years degree, I did 10 internships. So I worked with independent lawyers as well as a bunch of very reputed senior advocates and law firms. So as a result, I had a little idea about how drafting is to be done, and arguments is something that nobody can teach you. That you have to by and large go and learn for yourself, and the best thing to do is to sit in courtrooms and listen to the judges and the counsels engage in conversation.
The best way to actually understand how the proceedings happen is to go inside the court for interns, for youngsters who just newly got into the profession. Just sit and observe, because you will see advocates who've been there in this profession for like 20 years, 30 years argue. How they are arguing, each and every person argues differently. And that is something where you can just sit and observe and learn.
Wow.
And I think one very important thing which we must emphasize upon is this profession requires a lot of reading. So that is something whoever wants to take it up seriously has to be prepared that for the rest of your life you'll be just reading and learning. Because that's why it's called reading law.
practicing
because
law, reading law,
it's going
you're
to,
practicing.
it's endless.
Correct.
And if you yourself are not comfortable, then it gets difficult for you. And there's another flip side to it. A lot of the people who come for internships, they only come because it's mandatory in their curriculum.
Oh, really?
And some of them don't even actually
Care about that.
they don't. They just want an internship certificate, and it's just not always that the story this side is a little bleak.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't get people who are actually interested to learn or work.
Yeah.
So that much self-management you have to do. And if you yourself don't desire to work, then there is nobody who can force you to.
Correct. No, I also think something which is not always highlighted, that we see a lot of people drop out because the intellectual barrier is a little higher, and they try it for 7 days a month and they say, I can't do this, and they leave and they find something else. Do you see this happening in your experience?
In my college, by and large, I think a lot of the people were only doing LLB because they were appearing for judiciary,
Yes.
or they just wanted to get into UPSC or
So those are
any
still
of these.
pretty high
Yes,
barrier
yeah.
in terms
So,
of.
For them, it was just as a matter of passing their time and getting a degree. But I don't think there is any
No, I'm talking
intellectual
about
barrier.
practicing here as a lawyer. People start practicing and drop out because they can't match the standards.
Then maybe the field that you're practicing is not for you.
Right.
Law is very vast, like we've touched upon before, and not everybody is cut out for all the fields. So somebody may be
Yeah.
very, very smart in something as niche as IPR,
Well,
trademark.
someone could be, like, for example, other than law, you've done law, but maybe you're good in art or something. It's okay. I mean, if you are a dropout, it's not the end of the world, firstly.
But I think
The students who are passing law and who do not manage to continue, it is a message that we all should give to them, that it is not end of
Not
the
a
world.
problem.
There are so many other options.
But I think you should
know?
only drop out after you've given it some considerable work as well. Otherwise, quitting on premature assumptions is also something that should not be actually encouraged, because then that itself leads to a crisis.